Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Hello guys, you are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, your #1 political hub in Ghana and beyond. Today we bring you another hot banter between Beatrice Annan and Professor Zato of the NPP, who is trying to gaslight the public on the recent Ahmed Suale case in court. And Beatrice Annan, on the other hand, did not give him the way to do that, but rather disgrace or humiliate him on the live show. Which I would like you to join me listening to what he said into detail and how embarrassing he has become. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roland. I think that this is it's not a very interesting development if you ask me, but as a lawyer from where I sit, I can understand what is happening. It's not enough that you go to court with something that is not so weighty, especially when the offense or the charge is murder, because then you have the maximum sentence to be imposed. And I think that they haven't even done so much, and over the years they've been going back and forth. And while we talk about this, it brings me very bad memory of where we have come from as a country.
How do you mean?
I feel, and I mean, not to remind the families of Ahmed Suale of their pain and everything, but I made the point yesterday that today we are enjoying a certain refreshing environment when it comes to governance. Today, when I look at when I listen to radio stations and watch TV stations, journalists have the right to express editorial opinions without fear or favor, without having to fear for their lives. And while I say this, I sadly recount some of the cases like Kaka, who had to lose his life. Why? Because he expressed an opinion. And you have so many, in recent past, you have tags storming media houses, or MPP tags storming media houses. You had governments being the enablers. And even the video you played, Kennedy Ejapon himself, who is the front runner, I tip him to win over Dr. Baumia.
You tip him to win over?
Yes. I think that he would be within the NPP, maybe a more credible candidate than Dr.
I'm not too sure.
But we'll come. But we'll
Dr.
come
Demolishes will agree with you.
Yes. I know he's about me, but we'll come to that. And some of the very unguarded statements they made merely because they had access to screens and microphones, and practically put the lives of people at risk. Today, the then NPP government went to court without any solid evidence, without conducting the right investigation. And I've been reading a number of things from the spouse, from the families of Ahmed Suale. It's not a good thing. And I spoke to the Attorney General yesterday, and he assured me that he was going to pay attention to the case.
You mean Dr. Dominic Ayeni himself?
Dr. Dominic Ayeni himself. He assured me that he was going to pay attention to the case. He assured me that he was going to make sure that whatever needs to be corrected is corrected. Because what happens is that normally the Attorney General gives a fiat to state prosecutors, police prosecutors, to do some of these things, especially when it's at the district level. And so when it escalated to his desk, he would do something about it. And I encourage the Attorney General that we shouldn't let this case just go like that. We must bring the perpetrators to justice, because we cannot continue to allow the NPP to create the impression that it is okay for journalists to be attacked. We cannot continue to build a society where we think that it is fine for people not to have dissenting opinion. I have been doing a lot of media appearances, and one of the questions one of your sister station asked me was that Dumelevo is a member of your government. He has expressed a contrary opinion. And I made a certain point forcefully that over the past 8 years, we lived in an environment that was practically gagged. And so people are not used to the fact that even within the same party, even within the same team, dissenting opinions should be allowed. And that merely because you dissented does not mean that you disapprove. If you listen to some of the unprintable words that the NPP are using on themselves, have you seen the 16 sins of Dr. Baumia?
16 sins?
16 sins. He only had 16. Brian Champon had 10. Kennedy Japan had 10. But as
you mean their internal presidential primary?
If you look at how...
Well, Beatrice, somebody would say that's internal.
Yes, that's internal. But it's a micro reflection of what they would do when they are given power. Because even amongst themselves, I'm here with my party person, Dr. Samiaye. He's my friend. When we have disagreements internally, we should not be insulting ourselves using unprintable words. Why? Because we have a common opponent to fight. So if we cannot tolerate our views, if we cannot agree to disagree, if we cannot have a very we cannot exercise some restraint in our discussion, we can imagine what we'll do when we have power. These guys, when they had power, you could not, they say who born dog? You could not even express a contrary opinion. You are not even allowed to investigate corruption. In the past NDC government, you saw Manasseh, and I'll say it, and Manasseh disagrees with me in some of the stories he made about a confirmed flying and whatever. Those stories were very baseless, like the Ford expedition and all that. He is on record to have said that even the NDC government asked for protection for him because we recognize how sometimes the base will react. In the NPP, today we are having to discuss Ahmed Swale. What was the crime of Ahmed Swale? What was his offense? That as an undercover journalist, he was part of a team that was uncovering a rot. And somehow, a possible flag bearer of the NPP was not happy with him. Or that some members of the NPP were not happy. And displayed his picture on TV, asking people to do what they think they want to do to him. He lost his life. And I want
he said that he
I want to hear Dr. Zato on this. I really want to hear Dr. Zato on this. Because I want to know what possible defense, when some of these things happen,
Beatrice, the accusation you're making this pointedly is that within the NPP period,
a lot happened.
There was a culture of silence, or perceived culture of silence?
It was not perceived. It was actually a real culture of silence, not just culture of silence. It is as if your freedom of speech is guaranteed, but your freedom after speech was not guaranteed. And so you could speak because you may not know what will be the action or inaction of government, but after you speak, is that not the same government that the likes of Solomon Owusu and the people left because their dissenting opinions were not welcomed? And so if the likes of Alan Shermanton and very big fishes could leave the NPP because they said that the country was headed in the wrong direction, let's do the right thing. Even then, they dealt with them. You saw how Afoko, who is a member of the NPP internally, was dealt with. Afoko was kept in prison. Sometimes, I don't even want to mention the Afoko. One day when I went to a client at BNI and I saw Afoko, I had to bow my head in shame. And today...
Paul Afoko?
Yes.
Or Gregory Afoko?
Gregory Afoko. As for Paul Afoko and Kwabere Japan, what happened to them? At least they should be thankful that they are not behind bars or they don't have acid bath. They've not been bathed in acid. They should be grateful. The NPP consistently have demonstrated that they are not a political party that understand the tenets of democracy. And so it is so sad that today we have to be discussing Ahmed Swale and the fact that the state prosecutors have had to discontinue the case. Because it means that even at the time they were going to court, Godfrey Dami was going to court, he had not put, things well. How were we expecting Godfrey Dami to investigate your second flag bearer, potential, what's his name? Kennedy Japan. How were we expecting them within the same party? How were we expecting them to conduct a very thorough investigation? And so I'm very optimistic, and I want to follow this case and encourage Dr. Ayine that we have to bring justice and we have to bring some closure to the families of Ahmed Swale. Not just Ahmed Swale. when we talk about these things, we can link them to electoral violence. 8 people who lost their lives. It was as if under the NPP, it was just not the macroeconomic issues. Our lives, our liberties, and everything. Today, it feels so refreshing. It feels so refreshing waking up and knowing that you can express your opinion, you can come and say anything, and you will walk out and you don't have to look back, you don't have to do anything.
Beatrice, wrap up for me.
It is just something that I want to say that if you look at how things are going, the NDC may not be perfect. The NDC may not claim perfection. But when we come here to discuss some of these things, even the discussion of Ahmed Swale should remind us of how never to allow a party like the NPP to be in charge of the country. There must be a formidable opposition. We welcome that they will put pressure on us. But I think they do not know how to handle power. They do not know how to handle dissenting opinion. And I pray that what happened to Ahmed Swale should never happen to any journalist. And I also want to encourage the media houses. When some of these things happen, please don't let us discuss them only when there are some of these things happening. You must engage in a consistent campaign so that all political parties will sit up and know that there will be repercussions if you attack journalists.
All right. And if you remember, we all did as media. And
I have to first respond to some of the things that Dr. Zato has mentioned. So to Dr. Zato, let me say that maybe you may not see it, but the greatest evidence of the freedom of speech and the fresh air, and even the freedom after speech that we are enjoying in Ghana is you, Dr. Zato.
Oh.
Because Dr. Zato can shout, say a lot of things, and after the show, nobody comes after him. The story of Manasseh and Bibi, they were not even shouting, but they did not have the right environment. So it cannot be hypocrisy on steroids. And Dr. Dazo is a PhD holder. He cannot tell me that when people conduct research, like the Musa Dankwa polls that he referred to, and the opinion is that it may be too early for you to conduct research, that amounts to attacking academic freedom. My goodness, that cannot be the case. And again, the issue of somebody changing headlines. Roland, I expected you to put him to some proof and explain to him that sometimes even editors will get editorial policies wrong. I worked with the Enquirer newspaper when I was in the university. And when you do a story and it is brought to your attention that you did not get these right, sometimes the media houses are so humble, they either put the story down. Well, this week
there was an apology that was given to the sports minister.
They either pull the story down, or they issue an apology, or they do a retraction. That cannot be somebody oppressing. Dr. Zato, maybe you were not around under the NPP government. I don't know whether Dr. Zato was on your show, but some of the richest people in this country, like Sam Jonah, who is not a Cadbury member, said that there was a culture of silence. But why are we even going far? Professor Frimpong Boateng. Professor Frimpong Boateng.
What did he do?
When he authored a report on NPP members who were engaged in Galamsey, look at what happened to Professor Frimpong Boateng. In your own party. In your own party. Professor Frimpong Boateng is not an NDC Cadbury member. Then he says, oh, please, let's get serious with discussions. If you want to equalize when the NDC government has done something wrong, Dr. Zato, come stronger. Come with very solid, and I have consistently maintained that the present Mahama presidency you are experiencing, for which reason we are committed to major macroeconomic stabilities that your Baumia could not give the people of Ghana. We also welcome very dissenting opinions. And so when you are trying to counter a murder case, At a time when we are discussing a life lost, you are comparing it to Musa Dankwa's research that people said is too early, and this is the rebuttal. At a time when we are talking and people are in pains about some of the things that happened to them. My friend Caleb Kuda, what was his crime? Because he wanted to film something as a journalist, ended up with the NIB. And when you have to equalize, you are saying that change of headlines. I mean, we should not do this to ourselves. Sometimes I don't know whether you bring him here as a member of the NPP or as an objective person. Because when I'm dealing with him, I don't know whether to deal with him as an objective person or a member of the NPP. But if he's a member of the NPP, no, I think I've seen his pictures where he's a member of the NPP. But if he's a member of the NPP, he must know that his party did a lot of disservice to this nation. He must know that the NPP led Ghana into abyss. We should not even be reminding people of our pains. You came from an election with an electoral defeat of over 1.7 million. At this time, you ought to be doing introspection. You ought to be reflecting on what were the wrongs. At this time, we expect you, on one breath, they are apologizing, on an apology talk. On another breath, they are saying that, you know what, we did everything right, which is which. I can understand that they are going through some emotional, turbulent moments because they want to elect a new flag bearer. But let's not equalize what happened in the past.
The time is running.
No journalist has died. You cannot compare death to dissenting opinion. Yes, under NPP, people were speaking. It didn't mean that everybody was quiet. We were saying that certain things that the government did not feel comfortable with, there was a way they reacted to it. Press freedom, as at 2022, reduced, and Ghana moved from 1st to 10th position. I have the index here. So when we say and when we make some suggestion, we do that in the hope that even we as NDC government, we will learn. So let not people try to reduce the discussion, and you know the evidence, Abronye. Abronye. What? Is it because Abronye is insulting Kennedy Japan for the Baumia campaign that today Abronye is an idol in society whose freedom has been curtailed? What did Abronye do? And did you check who the complainant is in the Abronye case? Did Dr. Zato check? Government had nothing to do with that. In fact, many government communicators, including myself, we were on record to have criticized the decision of the court. You could not do that. Under your government, everything the court did was sacred. Did you see governments trying to condone that? I mean, those acts which we felt were not in tandem. So Dr. Zato should come back stronger.
Okay.
Now,
TUC.
So the matter of the TUC.
You have only 4 minutes.
I will do justice in 4 minutes. Don't worry.
TUC.
Now to the matter of the TUC. Galamsey is a threat to everybody. And so we in government, we recognize that anybody who wants to join the fight, who wants to add their voice to the fight, must be welcome. And President Mahama is not a beneficiary of Galamsey and illegal mining. So the end of illegal mining does not affect this government in any way. In fact, it goes to our credit. We will add it to the list of the things we are able to achieve, just like President Mahama solved Doomsol. And over the period we have been in office, I can assure you that 9 forest areas, which the NPP claimed were red zones, have been repossessed by this government. 9 forest areas. I can assure you that today, the president, through the amendment of LI 2462, in LI 2501, is saying that take away my powers. I cannot give mining leases and permits to people to mine in forests. Even that, there is a promise for more to be done, that the LI itself will be revoked. So when the TUC says that they want to go for a special meeting and declare, or maybe not strike, but take an action, I want to give TUC the assurance that the government of President John Mahama is not the same as the past government. And that this government is committed not in words, but by our actions in fighting the Galamsey menace. And they should keep faith with the NDC government. President Mahama is a man of integrity. He will not come and lie to you that he will declare a state of emergency at a time when he will be giving mining licenses to his party people. He would not do that. He has even said that no government appointee should be engaged in in legal mining. So not to talk of illegal. He says that if you want to engage in legal mining, bring my appointment letters and then go and engage in whatever business you want to engage in. But having established that point, Roland, it's also important to remind our viewers that on 9th October, the TUC met then President Nanado.
9th October, the last year?
Last year, 2024. Okay. They met Nanado. And the the Secretary General of the TUC, Mr. Joshua Ansan, indicated that they were going to suspend their strike that they had threatened if the NPP did not start the fight against Galamsey. Because remember, the NPP left the fight against Galamsey as far back as 2023 because they said we were going into an election year, and in 2020 they had lost many mining areas, which we have even proven to them that is not true. But that was the reason. You had senior members of the party like Ayiwe Friye and Nana Poku coming to say that they would not stop the Galamsey, they will not fight them. But when the TUC met President Nanado, these were the things Nanado promised them. The first one is deployment of additional military personnel, suspension of mining and forest reserve, strengthening prosecution of illegal mining cases, and then call for a national pact on illegal mining. Based on these things, the TUC said they were satisfied that the then government was going to do the right thing, so they will not go on strike. They did not go on strike. So I want to assure my sweet TUC that for all the things that President Akufo-Addo assured them of, we have even enhanced and done it better. Yes, and I'll give you one. At the time the TUC met Nanado, there were no military people deployed in the fight against Galamsey. It was free for all. Today, as I speak to you, there is a NIMO secretariat that is made up of all security forces that is currently protecting our river bodies and also protecting our forest reserve. So TUC be rest assured that the NDC government is not engaged in a 9-day wonder. Secondly, they said suspension of mining in forest reserve, and then TUC became satisfied. I want to tell them that for us, even the Regulation 3 that gives that would have given the president the powers to actually grant leases for people to mine in forest area, that Regulation 3 does not exist. So the president, as we speak today, cannot give any permits for people to mine. And I think that if the TUC were satisfied, then I think they ought to be satisfied now. They can call for more. Like Oliver Twist, we welcome more and we welcome the pressure. Again, strengthening of prosecution of illegal cases. I can assure the TUC that over 1,400 arrests have been made. Not just of the workers. This government is committed at going after the kingpins like Akunta Mining, Wontumi and the rest. And as we speak, Akunta Mining and others are before courts. And finally, the last thing the PUC and the TUC agreed to was a call for a national pact on illegal mining. Today, President Mahama has engaged civil society. TUC was invited to that engagement. We hear their concern. There will be consistent engagement. But what I can assure them is that unlike the past, no political appointee of President Mahama is engaged in Galamsey. Nobody at Jubilee is a beneficiary, and we are just not doing things in the media. So we are happy to engage the TUC. We are happy to, not just the TUC, but all other civil society organizations. And I can assure them that together and with their support, we will win the fight against illegal mining.
Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on what Beatrice Annan said? Do leave your comment below. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.